we're having New Game Plus at Supanova Gold Coast. We're going to give you a tour of the entire convention, well, as much of the convention as we can before the batteries run out. Let's head out. Let's head around. Well, while we're here, these are some of the theater rooms. So there are panels that happen generally along some of these. So we've got the Film Inc. Features Theater. We'll head down a little bit further. Come down this way. I guess there are 2 doors for this one. Maybe 3 doors. Yeah, so it looks like there are 3 doors for the Film Inc. Features Theater. And then down here, we've got the Anime Theater as well. So this is actually the end of the hall upstairs. So what I reckon we'll do, we'll head out and go for a bit of a tour around the rest of the upstairs part of the hall. This is the Gold Coast Convention Center. So Supanova has been known to be hosted on at the Brisbane Convention Center as well. I am more familiar with the Brisbane Convention Center, in truth. Not so much with the Gold Coast. So it's as much of an interesting experience for me at this point as it is for you. Yeah. A lot of cosplay. You might see quite a lot of cosplayers happening around. So we've got, I guess it's kind of like the food court. Over here, we've got a setup from TAFE Queensland, actually. And they are just kind of doing their own thing. They've got a setup so people can can green screen themselves. It's good fun. They're having good fun, as you can see, for sure. They're making great happen. Just behind the camera here, we've got a kind of just food. It's not really a food court, it's just food. But we'll head further down because I know that there's more around the corner. So up here we've got the Headspace. It's from Southport. It's basically a mental health area. So if you're stressed out at Supanova Gold Coast, be sure to head to a place like this. Just so you're not going to peek too much. Hello, alive! So yeah, inside there's all sorts of funky stuff going on. Probably shouldn't be in the hallway because people get really shy around cameras, I guess. But yeah, if you're a little bit stressed out or you want somewhere a little bit quieter, the mental health safe spaces like this are definitely a place to go. And it's good that they're at Supanova now. This is the heart of Supanova. It's lines, ladies and gentlemen. It is a line for David Boreanaz? Not entirely sure. But they're lining up for something. I don't think he's here yet. I think that's why. So we've got the Cosplay HQ and the weapons check-in. So if you've got weapons, you can check that shit out. Let's keep on trucking. I don't think there's much more around the corner, so I think maybe we'll head downstairs at this point. So we're in the downstairs area. This is the busiest part of Supanova. Well, nearly. Right, yep. It's just generally a lot of people hanging out, I guess meeting up with other fans, because the foyer is more where people are able to hang out, and less about the stalls and everything else. Supanova is a pop culture expo, is probably the best way to put it, focused on stuff like anime, like comics, on manga, and they're starting to put more of a focus on video games as well. So it's an event that happens every maybe, there are 6 of them in Australia, I'm pretty sure. So they're happening every 2 or 3 months, generally speaking. So here we're at the Gold Coast. I'm not going to make the camera turn around because it is very bright outside. But this is one of 6 events that happen through the year for the Supanova specifically. There are others, but yeah. I think shortly we'll head into the convention and see what we can do inside. We'll see what we can try and get away with. We've just walked by a booth for C90, Hit 90.9. They are a radio station based, I'm guessing, on the Gold Coast. But we're just heading further down so that we can actually enter the convention hall, the exhibition hall, which should be all good. Got to make sure you show off those wristbands. So weekends, the blue wristband here that I've got is for weekend passes, and the gold one is actually for media. So we have media access. In reality, that doesn't mean much. To be fair, we could probably get away with about as much by just carrying around a tripod, which in truth is what we've been doing. But we've had access to a media room and been able to speak to a few celebrity guests, which has been interesting to say the least. Got plenty of people in the background. Well, that's Supanova, right? Like it's being fun, it's being colorful, it's being part of the mood. So this is the stretch, the walk of shame for normies. Pretty much, if you are lining up at around 10 a.m. to get into the convention hall, this walk is what it takes. It's actually further because we didn't start at the very end of the convention hall. but it's a long ass walk. So this is the convention hall. You want to maybe just go for a bit of a cheeky, oh, there's someone that we know. Yeah, you always see it. It's a very colorful crowd that we see here. So we've got all sorts of booths. This is Madman Entertainment here, one of the, what I believe would be the sponsors of Supanova. They are in charge of a lot of anime and manga distribution in Australia. So they have some of the biggest brands actually to be released in Australia. Whether that's on DVD or broadcast, I don't know the specifics, but they're a big name in the industry. Here we've got King's Comics, and I guess there's a lot of memorabilia here at King's Comics. A lot of figurines, a lot of comic books, of course, you'd hope from King's Comics. All sorts of funky stuff happening here. Who's this booth? I don't know who this booth is. There's a lot of interesting names around, but big names and small names alike, for sure. It's so goddamn hard to walk in a straight line at Supanova. It is near impossible. And when you've got something like, it wasn't pole dancing like what with the rope dancing that we saw earlier. People just stop in the middle of the walkway. Hopefully, oh, wrestling. So I think we've got a wrestling match going on up here. If we can get there, it'll be interesting to see if we can actually get there in time. We got a bunch of beautiful beards. We'll have a closer look now. All right, so what have we got going on? A lot of noise, a lot of spectacle happening. I'd love to watch more, but there's a lot more to see. Oh man, actually room to walk. How often does that happen? Spoke too soon. All right, so up here is kind of something that Supanova is actually trying to draw more attention to, and it's gaming. Usually comics and the culture of pop culture has been the focus of Supanova. More and more they're trying to bring a focus to gaming. And so they brought on M-Wave as a partner to try and fill up that hole in the market that they've established, this sort of gaming audience. And as you can see, it's pretty successful. They've got all sorts of games set up there. CSGO, they have Overwatch, they have Rocket League. They were actually having competitions held here earlier. The PC gaming zone's there, so this is pretty much the PC gaming zone. It's the zone you want to be. For that PC gaming master race, PCMR. Are we able to cut through here? I'm going to go with yes. Yes, we are. So we'll quickly head up to the Twitch booth before making our way down to some of the signings. They didn't have as much of a focus on streaming as much as they did about like panels, talking about how to get into the field, which is very important. And it looks like that's what they're doing now. They've got a panel happening on stage right now, which I'm sure is working out well for them. So yeah, we have Twitch streamers happening, getting into the game. Q&A with pro gamers, so we've got only Schumer competitive pro players up there, making sure that people are well informed. Before we run out of battery entirely, we'll head down to the signing area where arguably the biggest draw of Supanovas is. Yeah, so obviously a huge part of Supanova is making sure that, a huge part of it is make sure that people are able to come and buy stuff and you know, get a little bit more cultured, pop cultured. But a huge draw of Supanova specifically is some of the big guests. And we actually had the opportunity to speak to some of them. We had Tom Hopper, we had Nolan North, video game voice actor, Vic Mignonia. I will one day figure out how to say his last name. It's a journey, well and truly. Trying to speak to some of these people who are such veterans in the industry. It can be really informative sometimes, really entertaining, and also sometimes a little bit intimidating, if I'm completely honest. That's just the reality of it, I suppose. So right now we're in the artists alley, I guess you would call it, where we have all sorts of different artists coming off, showing their wares. Sometimes it's not artists, sometimes you've got a little bit more variety. Of course, this is where some of the cosplay is at its peak, which is good. So we're just coming up to the end of the tour now, coming up to where you will be able to get signings. So, you know, you pay 30, 40 bucks at the door or whatever, you get in. If you have the opportunity, if you have, you know, if you're in the right position, you'll be able to speak to, get a signing, get a photo with some of these special guests. And this is where usually it happens. You'll have people lining up to get signings with these people. And so right now, if we walk up, we've got Vic actually here, voice actor, well-known voice actor for Fullmetal Alchemist, Dragon Ball Z, a whole host of other things as well. We'll come around, see if any other guests are here. I can't see many right now. At the moment, there is a full wall of guests, but unfortunately, we're not really in a position to really film much of it. I think that right now, we might finish up here very quickly. That was pretty much a tour of Supanova. Thank you so much for watching. This was a really interesting sort of experiment. Thank you for sticking with it, the 3 or 4 viewers that actually did.
Is it different from Brisbane though?
Is it different? It is. Well, I mean, the location is different, but the vibe and the feel of the convention is pretty much the same. Obviously, they'll have different guests, they'll have different exhibitors at different shows, regardless of location. But the Gold Coast basically has a very similar feel to the Brisbane one that I have actually shot with at Alex prior to this. That was in 2015, so it was a while ago now. But yeah, it's good. That's pretty much it. We're done. Thank you for watching.